Hi again. I'm Allison, and for my research, I study what birds are on farms, what birds are in forests, and what birds are in the edges. And how I do that is I'll go out there in the middle of the farm and I'll wait for 10 minutes looking at all the birds around me, and I'll write them down and how many of each there are. Then I'll come to this area, which is more of like an edge habitat between farm and forest, and I'll do the same thing. And then I'll observe birds for 10 minutes inside the forest and see what birds are around there. So later, I want to know how much tree cover really is there in each area. And one way I do that is with this fancy device. It's called a densiometer, and it looks like a little mirror. See? So what I do is I'll stand where I was standing when I observed the birds, and I'll look in the mirror and I can see some of the leaves above me in the mirror. If I'm standing in the open area, I'll see the plain sky in the mirror. And here, about half of the mirror is covered by leaves. So I'm gonna calculate about how much of the mirror is covered by leaves, and then usually when I'm inside the forest, all of the mirror is covered by leaves. So I write down all of that information in my notebook, and I use it for my later analyses. Okay, so here's the mirror I use to see how much of the sky is covered with trees where I'm standing. You can maybe see the little squares, and some of them have leaves in it and some of them are covered by sky. So normally I just count the number that are covered with the sky, and I'll write that in my notebook. All right, now I'm going to share with you my field notebook and my data sheets. Both of these things are super important to me. So the data sheets are where I record the things that I plan to observe that day. So for example, when I look at that little mirror to see how many squares have sky in them, I have a spot for that to write right here. It's called dots open. One more example of something I might record is the number of posts I see nearby. So here's an example of a post. So I'll look around me, and within a certain distance, I'll count those. So in this day, it happened to be 0. So for what my field notebook is for is any other notes I see that don't belong on the data sheet. So any observations I make about the birds around me. For example, on this one day in February, I have a note that says, the babies have left the nest. And it actually is in Spanish, so it says, los polluelos en N1 ya se fueron.